Hello, hola, ciao, what's good? I am Kelly Paratelli. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and energy here today. Thank you for your support and love. Please subscribe to my channel. It is free to do so to support my channel growth and my algorithms on YouTube here. Please like this video for the same reasons to support my algorithms and my channel growth. I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I am going to monetize my YouTube channel, and this is the time where I can use all the support and help that I can get. Today's a very special video because I'm going to be discussing what you need to know to begin self-publishing. I am a self-published author of a book called Testimonials. It is a compilation of rhyming poetry and non-fictional short stories that I have written over 2 decades of my life. I actually self-published and compiled this book in January 2022 during my 33rd year of life. My birthday is in January, so this is my birthday month, and it's been 1 year since I originally published the first version of my book, both domestically here in the United States and internationally. So this is very fitting that I'm doing this in January 2023 during my birthday month to talk about self-publishing for indie authors and other people in the world who may or may not be wanting to self-publish a book. I did publish my book through Barnes & Noble Self-Publishing House, but now my book is also available on Schuler's local independent bookstore shelves right now. There are 3 currently open in the state of Michigan here in the United States. There is a 4th Schuler's bookstore currently about to open. It is in the process of opening right now in Bloomfield, Michigan, which is on the east side of the state near Detroit. It's a suburb of Detroit. But right now there are 3 Schuler's local independent bookstores open in Michigan. One in Grand Rapids, Michigan on 28th Street. One in Okemos, which is a suburb of Lansing. Lansing is the capital of Michigan in the middle of the state. And the 3rd is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is a college town where the University of Michigan is located. And currently now, this book, Testimonials, my book, which is a compilation of rhyming poetry and non-fictional short stories with a beautiful introduction about my life and why I decided to publish, which I did read my introduction to this book on my channel already. Please check that video out if you want more information and want to hear a direct spoken word reading from my book. That is also available on my channel. I've already read 2 poems from this book. And the introduction on this channel. So what I'm going to talk about today is what you need to know as a beginner in general if you are intending to self-publish a book. So what I'm going to be discussing today is the main things that an indie self-published author would need to consider and know when they were going to start out as a beginner. A beginner's guide to what you need to know to self-publish from an already published self-published author, which I am now a self-published author of this book, Testimonials by Kelly Paratelli. So It doesn't really matter today in this video who or where you're going to consider self-publishing through. Again, I self-published my first book, Testimonials, through Barnes & Noble Self-Publishing House. But once I put my books on the shelf in Schuler's, I discovered that Schuler's local independent bookstores in Michigan also have their own self-publishing house. And so I am now considering writing my second book, which there will be more beautiful books to come. I'm considering doing books about poetry, books about traveling, maybe adding some of my photography into my books, and definitely writing a second book of poetry and non-fictional short stories that some call autobiographical memoirs or Michigan history, which is the section of Schuler's that they put my book into under Michigan autobiographical history, because it is non-fictional and it does contain rhyming poetry. So that are based on true events from my life. So that being said, I am going to do a video later on about specifically how to publish through Barnes & Noble Self-Publishing House using their self-publishing website online, what I did for the copyrights and the ISBN. The ISBN is the barcode on the bottom of the book, which is a unique identifier for your book's code, your title and your content, and then the copyrights, of course, is the royalties and rights to your particular content as a creator, and in this case, a self-published author. So those are all separate topics, but things that you do need to consider. So the main thing is I'm going to be talking about today is what you need to know to begin to self-publish as an indie self-published author, and what you would need to consider. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the content itself, right? So for me, Kelly Peritelli, I spent 2 decades of my life since the age of 6 handwriting in journals, okay? I used a pen and paper to handwrite poetry and non-fictional real-life short stories and entries, autobiographical memoirs, as some call it, and rhyming poetry in, journals. So actually I filled over 30 black and white journals cover to cover from the age of 6, and there are a handful of others that I have that are different colors like this, all handwritten. So for me, I was compiling and editing what I already wrote. And I did say that in the introduction that I read on this channel already, and it says it in the introduction of my book. But yeah, so for me, I had already written the majority of my content in the book. So there's a beautiful introduction in the start of my book, and that is the only thing that I wrote recently for this book to publish in January and then the following summer in 2022. So 2022, the only thing that I wrote new was the introduction to this book, talking about why I decided to self-publish, why I decided to compile all of my already written works together. And a little bit about who I am as a person, how I was raised, where I came from, and what my family life was like and how I grew up. So the poetry in my book and the short stories were already written, and I merely compiled them and put them together and edited them myself for this book. The first thing you need to know is you don't need a lot of money to self-publish, okay? You don't need a lot of money to publish a book, and I think it's definitely a privilege to be able to publish a book. It's a privilege to have the knowledge and the education, the computer skills, the editing abilities, and the literacy levels to be able to do this, yes. But financially, you actually do not need a lot of money to self-publish. It's actually free to self-publish through Barnes & Noble Self-Publishing House and Schuler's local independent bookstores. And I'm sure that there are other local independent bookstores in every state in the United States that are willing to self-publish for you because it's very easy to do it online. I know you can do it through KDP, Amazon as well online, and that there's an indie author association called Ingram Sparks that you can join, which I am now in the process of joining to be able to have an online link for the National United States Indie Author Association and have an online link for Schuler's because currently it is only physically available on the shelves in these Schuler's bookstores. You cannot order it online. The only way to order this book online currently is through the Barnes & Noble link that is in the description. Please like this video and check out the link in the description for my book Testimonials. When you click on the link, it takes you to Barnes & Noble's website with a list of customer reviews of people who have read and purchased this book to support me already. And who have really written beautiful things, which I'm very thankful about. Thank you, God. I'm very appreciative of all the people who left those customer reviews and said nice, beautiful things about my poetry and my book. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So again, one thing you need to know is that you don't need a lot of money. It's free to publish through most of these self-publishing companies, which is kind of a pro or a plus of living in the age of technology and the information age, because it's so easy to do these things online now that they actually don't charge you a fee to self-publish. The fee and the money comes when you purchase your copyright content for the royalties to your content. The title, the book, and the ISBN is a separate charge. So you are paying a fee for your copyright content and your ISBN, but you don't have to pay a fee to actually self-publish, okay? So also, if you are privileged enough and have the knowledge to know how to edit, you don't have to pay anyone to edit. So that's the benefit. If you know how to edit a book, you don't have to pay an editor to do that for you. And personally, I wanted control over my editing. I wanted to be the one to put out exactly what I wanted to put out, exactly how I wanted to put it out. So if you read my book, you'll see I didn't do things traditionally when it comes to language. I didn't do things traditionally when it comes to grammar or pronunciation or capitalization, traditional English rules. I did not follow because I wanted to do it my way. So that's the benefit of self-publishing, is that you have total control. If you're an indie author, if you're independent, it means, you know, you have the highest amount of royalties, you collect the highest amount of money for your content in these companies. Again, the main thing that you need is time and energy and knowledge. Okay, you don't need a lot of money. That's the first thing you need to know, is that you don't need a lot of money. But you do need a lot of time, energy, and knowledge. The good thing about technology is that you can have a lot of information and knowledge at your fingertips. YouTube itself is a Google search engine, essentially. When I first started out self-publishing, I did watch a lot of videos just like this on YouTube, which is why I'm making this video. One of the reasons I'm making this video is because I myself did search how to self-publish on YouTube, or how to purchase the copyright content and the ISBN code, how to publish through Barnes & Noble Self-Publishing House. I watched those how-to guides on YouTube from other self-published indie authors, and that helped me a lot. So the good news is, when it comes to research on who you want to self-publish through, how the process will go, these types of videos exist on YouTube to help you research and get the information and knowledge that you need. So the main thing you need is time, because there were days when I spent 10 to 11 hours a day writing and editing my introduction and putting everything together. The Barnes & Noble website that I used to self-publish is a bit complicated. It could be easier, to be honest, in terms of the formatting and the things you need to know, but stay tuned for that video, because I'm going to do a step-by-step how-to video soon on how to publish through Barnes & Noble Self-Publishing House using screenshots from their website. Through Barnes & Noble's self-published website. You will have to create a login if you do that, and I'm going to create a video logged in under my account, showing my screen step by step how to create a self-published book through Barnes & Noble's. But today I am just discussing the main things you need to know to self-publish. So, 1, you don't need a lot of money, you just need time and energy and the knowledge to do it. 2, the knowledge is available to you on the internet. So again, Don't be discouraged if you feel like you're overwhelmed. That's normal. If you feel like there's a lot of information you don't know, just know that you can find it easily online, on YouTube, on Google, you know, on the internet now. It's easy to search the things you need to know in regards to your copyrights, in regards to your ISBNs. So if you have any kind of computer knowledge, that is a really good way to get this information, okay? So there's a lot of videos on YouTube. I'm gonna put a link in the description of the videos that I used from other YouTubers and vloggers and self-published indie authors who made videos of how to self-publish. I'm gonna put those in the description so that you know what I used when I wrote my book for information and knowledge and research. The third thing is, they say that you're supposed to, you know, have a niche. You know, do you have a specific genre or niche that you gravitate toward? So for me, it's rhyming poetry and non-fictional short stories. I sort of write in hindsight, right? So the way that I've always written is looking back on the events in my life that maybe I didn't fully process well, or I needed to vent about or have a healthy release about, or that I wanted to display a beautiful message that I felt could only be conveyed in poetry or a beautiful short story, retelling events from my past, right? So the third thing you need to know is, what is your writing style and genre? So because when you go to self-publish, they're going to ask you, pretty much on any self-publishing platform that you use, they're gonna ask you what you consider your writing style or genre to be. So if you publish through Barnes & Noble or Schuler's, there's almost always a section in there when you go to publish that asks what you consider your genre or your niche, which they talk about on YouTube too, in terms of like creating your channel niche. Some people pronounce it niche, in some languages it's niche, but anyway, they talk about like you sort of finding your pocket, so to speak, finding your bag, finding your genre or your style. So like for YouTube, it's like, are you a travel vlogger? Are you a reactor? Do you do music and comedy reactions? Do you do how-tos? Do you do self-publishing tips and tricks? There's all these, you know, niches or genres or styles or boxes, so to speak, that they try to put you in. I did not use a business name on YouTube, just like I did not use a business name for my book. Everything I'm doing is indie, self-published, and independent under my name. So, including this YouTube channel. So, I am doing mostly travel vlogging on this channel, but also how-tos for self-publishing, what you need to know to self-publish, helpful information for other self-published indie authors, and how-tos for certain lifestyle things relating to travel, culture, art, writing, poetry, spoken word, and self-publishing. So my main two niches, so to speak, are travel vlogging, lifestyle vlogging, how-tos, and self-publishing tips and tricks for indie authors, right? Those are my main two things, self-publishing and travel. Okay, travel's my favorite thing to do in life, and self-publishing is what I've been on lately. So, I've been a writer my entire life, and I never intended to publish my book, as I already said on this channel and in my introduction, but over the course of the last year I decided I would compile, and I say why on this channel already and in this introduction. So the same thing applies to self-publishing your book as it does to creating your YouTube channel. For whatever reason, they're going to try to put you in a box, but it is good to know what your writing style is, and if you had to choose a category, which they do make you choose a category when you go to self-publish, you cannot go forward without giving them some sort of category, some sort of niche, some sort of genre or writing style that you identify with when it comes to your self-published book. So it's the same thing for YouTube as it is for self-publishing. Only with self-publishing, most platforms make you choose. So for me, I chose spiritual, non-fictional short stories, rhyming poetry, and non-fictional short stories because they are real life stories, true events, true stories, true thoughts, feelings, epiphanies, and testimonials. And it could be classified as autobiographical because it's real life stories from my experiences that I have lived myself. And they are true, real stories from my life. So I'm a poet, I'm a storyteller, I write nonfiction, I write autobiographical memoirs, in hindsight, looking back on my beautiful life, right? Right, so it is not fiction that I'm writing, okay? Don't let them label you something that you know you are not or that you do not want to be. Okay, I am not fiction, I am not writing fiction. I am very real, I am a real one, and I've always written real things in my books, in my poetry, in my journals. I write nonfiction, not fiction. So part of being an independent author is that you get to choose what your label, what your genre, what your category is, right? What your writing style is, which is part of self-awareness when it comes to self-publishing, especially as an independent author, to have some level of confidence in what your writing style is, right? So the third thing that you need to know is identify your writing style or genre or whatever that may be, because they will make you choose when you go to self-publish. So keep this in mind as a beginner when you're starting. Maybe ask yourself, what do I consider myself? Like, what is the genre I would choose? What is the writing style I would choose? What is the category if I had to label my own work, right? So that's what it is for me. But other examples of genres, writing styles could be fiction, if that's what you write, could be mystery, could be crime and drama, could be historical, could be, you know, non-rhyming poetry like haikus, there's sonnets, there's all kinds of different types of poetry, some that rhyme, some that don't. You know, there's different classifications, right? There's travel writers, there's photography writers who just do blips and one-liners underneath the photos that they take. There's lots of different styles, classifications, categories, and genres that you could choose, right, when it comes to writing. You know, some people write children's books, and that goes along with fiction, fantasy and fairy tale, sci-fi, things like that. There's lots of examples. Some people specifically write travel events and travel information. The fourth thing you need to consider is your audience, or the people who you think are going to be, they call it your target audience, but the people who you think will gravitate toward your book, your genre, your category. And who you think would realistically actually buy your book, right? So it's the same thing when creating your YouTube channel in a way, because, you know, a lot of people who do this professionally recommend and say that you should consider your target audience. You should consider who actually would want to subscribe when gaining your first 1,000 subscribers, and not really just doing it to monetize, but like who actually realistically is going to want to watch these videos, right? So people who are interested in the same things as you, shared interests, right? So if you're in this for money, which I really was not in it for money when I wrote my book, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, YouTube I'm doing for money, but also to share my love and light and knowledge with the world, to share the beautiful things that I already enjoy doing, and to get paid to live the life I want. But the book, if it makes me money, great, but I didn't do it for money. I did it to put my true voice out into the world, to tell my own story my way, to establish myself as a self-published independent author and a writer and a poet and a storyteller in the world today. I was really tired of hiding that innermost part of myself, and that's a direct line from my book's introduction and what I've already spoken on this channel. So the book was for my true gift to myself and to the world, but not for money. But if it makes me money, great. But if you're someone who's doing this as another source of income and your main goal for publishing is to make money, you definitely want to consider your target audience and who will realistically want to buy this. So maybe it's other independent authors who want to sort of barter their support. Maybe it's people who are truly interested in your topic, whether it be sci-fi, which obviously has a large audience, because people gravitate toward fiction and sci-fi and drama. In mystery these days, there's a large audience that gravitates towards poetry and nonfiction. So those are kind of like the main categories, you know, travel, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, sci-fi, crime, history, drama. Those are the main categories. And then there is like a spiritual, religious section. Also, like if you were to go to a bookstore, those would be the main categories on the wall. And there's always sort of like a local section, like, you know, in Schuler's where my book is, it's under the Michigan section because it's for local independent authors from Michigan. I allowed them to do Michigan history as the category at Schuler's because the other thing to consider is that when your book is on the shelves as a hard copy somewhere, like Testimonials by Kelly Peritelli is on the shelves, hard copies in 3 out of the 4 current Schuler's local independent bookstores in Michigan, right? So they basically gave me the option of putting this book into the poetry section and having only the spine showing visibly in the store for people to walk by and see, or putting it in the Michigan history section and having it front facing like this so that people can see the symbols on the front of my book, the title and my name, and the front of it to catch people's eyes and attention when they're walking by. So I chose Michigan history because my preference was to have this book be front facing, and that's what I preferred. So sure enough, it has sold several copies from these Schuler's locations being front facing. Now maybe that's because people knew me and they saw and they were alerted to it, or maybe it's because they truly were just walking one day through the store and they happened to see this front cover and were drawn to it for whatever reason. But that's why I wanted hard copies on the shelves and not just something that's read behind a screen. So the last, final, 5th thing that I would say you need to consider is how you want your book displayed, as I was just saying, right? So is your goal to have it be a hard copy like this with prints available? Like I wanted my book to be on the shelves as a hard copy and not something that was read behind a screen, although I will consider making, you know, online ebooks in the world that we're living in today later down the line as I continue to nurture and grow this book and its content, you know, which I will. I may consider doing audios. I may consider doing an ebook because of the world we're living in today, the age of technology, and because I acknowledge that not everyone can read and some people need to hear audios because they are not literate. They do not have those skills to read and write, or maybe they're dyslexic or they have some type of developmental disability, I don't know, and they cannot read. It's hard for them to see, maybe they're blind, and they need to hear it. So to make it accessible to all audiences, I may give people the option of hearing this book on audio, of hearing it translated into other languages, and of it being on an ebook for convenience, for sales, to reach audiences, and to give options to my fans and viewers who are purchasing this book out of the kindness of their heart and true support or true interest. So that being said, you want to think about, before you start anything, what your goal is in terms of actually displaying your book and how it's going to be available and accessible to your audiences. So a lot of people start out with ebooks and they don't want to do hard copies at all. They don't order actual prints. Maybe they're environmentally friendly and they don't want to waste the paper on printing. Maybe they just prefer reading on a book, or, you know, reading on a Nook or an ebook or a Kindle or something like that. Amazon KDP. There's all kinds of online forums and platforms. So at some point, you will have to use some sort of program on a computer to type, edit, and upload your book whether it be to whatever platform you're using to self-publish, whether it be Barnes & Noble, Amazon KDP, or a local independent bookstore like Schuler's, who does have a self-publishing house of their own, and there are plenty of them around the country still alive and kicking today, thank God. Please let there be a middle class again. Please support local small businesses. Please support local independent bookstores, because even though I did publish through Barnes & Noble, and I'm not necessarily regretting that, even though the process has been very different, and I will talk about that later on my channel, than Schuler's, who quite frankly made it a lot easier for me than Barnes & Noble's in terms of getting my book physically actually on the shelves, and actually the process of self-publishing so far from what I'm learning and hearing and experiencing. But I still don't necessarily regret publishing through Barnes & Noble because I learned a lot, and it was a way to have an online link in the description of this video and going forward until I become a member of the local independent indie Ingram Sparks National Association. The fifth and final thing is, in terms of display, you are going to have to be familiar with computers, right? Or Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, some sort of program on the computer to upload it into whatever platform you're using. So you do need to be somewhat familiar with computers, technology, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, or whatever program you're using to type, edit, compile, and format whatever electronic version of your book, and of your work in writing that you're going to be uploading to whatever platform you're using to publish, like Barnes & Noble's website that they have, or Schuler's. So that being said, those are the 5 things I would say to consider when beginning as a self-published author. And this is a general overview of the things you would need to consider. There's going to be in-depth detailed videos that I create in regards to copyright content, ISBN purchasing of your barcode and your price of your book, how you determine the price of your book and your title, and a how-to step-by-step video soon to come of how to self-publish through Barnes & Noble self-publishing like I did. There's going to be several other videos I create in regards to self-publishing as an indie author and a writer and a poet in the world today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video for the algorithms. Please check out the links in the description for my self-published book, Testimonials. I appreciate any support for this channel, for my book as a independent author, as a traveler, and as a YouTube content creator. So, thank you so much for your time and energy. Peace, love, and respect. Ciao.